the big man, Chet Holmgren, got paid this morning. Holmgren agreed to a fully guaranteed rookie max extension worth a projected $239 million, which could be worth as much as $250 million.
Oh, my goodness.
This deal does not include a player option, by the way, and that's after SGA already signed his 4-year Supermax deal worth a projected $285 million. The MVP's contract, which starts in 2 years, is worth over $71 million a season, the largest average annual value in NBA history. The Thunder have now committed a projected $524 million in extensions to keep SGA and Chet in OKC through the 30-31 season. Next on their agenda could be an extension for Jalen Williams, who, like Holmgren, is rookie extension eligible this summer. Now welcoming in the man who broke the news this morning, our guy Shams Charania. Check out the full rookie max extension. How did this deal come about, Shams?
George, when you win a championship, the second youngest team ever to do so, big business awaits. And they got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander done on that 4-year, $285 million Supermax last week. And then it was about Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams, a.k.a. J-Dub. And today was Chet Day, and getting him done was the priority. Oklahoma City officials and Holmgren's agent, Bill Duffy at WME, they met over the last week or so, ironed out this 5-year full max extension that reaches almost $250 million this morning. It is fully guaranteed, and this is for a player that has dealt with some serious injury issues in his 3 seasons. But listen, last year, he was the anchor of what was a historic defense. He had the best plus-minus of any player in the NBA playoffs. He had the most blocks ever in a Game 7 of the NBA Finals. So up to $250 million for Chet Holmgren. He was on an all-star trajectory last year before his hip injury that sidelined him for 3 months. So he's committed. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's committed. Jalen Williams next up at some point here. But Chet Holmgren, like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander last week, they had the very important attribute of commitment to this Thunder organization moving forward.
All right, you kind of alluded to it there with Jalen Williams, but what else does OKC potentially now have to look forward to in regards to the foreseeable future about locking up this roster or making roster moves?
George, I'm told now the Thunder are going to fully focus on finishing up Jalen Williams, their all-NBA star guard forward, fully focused on finishing up his extension. There is momentum in those conversations with the Thunder between both sides. There's been positive talks, and both sides are aligned on where those negotiations are going. But big picture, the Thunder will be entering the 2025-26 season as a non-luxury tax team for the 3rd straight season. It's very unique in today's NBA to be competing for a championship year in and year out, but it goes to the fact that they have this young core that is just now entering this max extension era for them. They have a bunch of role players locked up on long-term deals. But again, bigger picture, starting that 2026-27 season, this is a team that's projected to begin entering the 1st and 2nd apron.
Shams, thank you so much. You're the man, brother. Appreciate you. All right, so there was Shams. Now, Chiney, we know there have been 7 different champions in the last 7 seasons, but when you look at this Thunder team, okay, are they more equipped than any other team to be a potential dynasty?
Right now, they're sitting pretty, I'll tell you that. And I just was listening to Shams, and I started writing some things down. I was like, 2 of their contracts worth $500 million. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. $500 million. Sam Presti, obviously maneuvering this, they're still under the luxury tax. And their big 3, 27 years or younger, a number of them all NBA. Yep. This is wild level of finesse in the NBA. And, you know, if there's one team that is positioned for destined for greatness, it is this squad. But there's one big caveat, okay? It's the fact that when you grow over the next few years, as these guys continue to be dominant, it's going to be that much harder, especially when those numbers hit the books, to retain the supporting cast. Right. The Carusos, the Hartensteins, you know, the Dorts. That, to me, is the question mark. But they do have 11 picks to be able to buffer the young roster around them. But I think they're hedging on that core, that big 3 core, which, by the way, if you're thinking about it, I was in love with the James Harden, the Russell Westbrook, the Kevin Durant. But this right here, they won a championship. Not saying that they're better than those future Hall of Famers, but their team is basically has a runway where they've bought in already to the identity, the system. They have so many enough boxes checked that it's like, okay, if any team can do it and go back-to-back, maybe it's them.
But they're set up for sustainable success, and they're set up in a way where, as Chiney mentioned, I think they won because of their cast, because of the supporting cast, because of their depth. They just outlasted everybody. They had the most talent, and they outlasted everyone. And I think as we go forward, okay, Hartenstein might become a luxury. Well, guess what? You have Jalen Williams behind him, and then you have Sorber, who you just drafted, and then you have Brandon Carlson, who you just did.
Case and Wallace is right there, already getting big minutes.
Dort, right? I mean, they just have the second wave right behind that first wave, and as you mentioned, Shea's extension doesn't kick in for 2 more years.
Right.
So he's still on the deal that he was on before. These extensions don't kick in for a little while.
Yeah.
And they have a couple years to play with those secondary players before they have to make those tougher decisions.
And by the way, can we shout out Jalen Williams a little bit here?
Yeah.
That man was dealing with a wrist injury since March. He missed 2 weeks in March after an injury, then re-aggravated it in April, and played through the entire playoffs. He just talked about this recently, playing through that wrist injury. I was in those huddles. He was getting work on that wrist the entire conference finals and finals.
I remember watching him. We saw him. There was one game where he hit a couple shots. It was against Denver. And he starts blowing on his hand. And that wrist, the wrist that's always taped. And we asked him about it post-game, and he's trying not to say anything.
Sure.
Right? He's trying not to acknowledge any level of pain or whatever it is. He goes, oh, I didn't even know. The cameras literally captured him doing it. And he goes, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, that guy was cool as a pillow.
And you know what's crazy to me? The only player that had high levels of consistency through all rounds was Shea. Now you're going to get that in the future with J-Dub and Chet only improving. To me, it's wild. Even though the West is still tough.
Stacked. Future is bright for sure there, no doubt about it. Finally, reports out of Denver that 3-time MVP Nikola Jokic will not seek a contract extension this summer, delaying talks until next year. Jokic has 3 years left on his current deal, including a player option for 27-28. Ohm Youngmisuk reported on this story yesterday and joins us now here. So, Omi, walk us through this contract scenario with Jokic, and should Denver fans have any cause for concern here?
Yeah, and talking to people around the league, and including people from the Nuggets, there's zero concern about this being something like Nikola Jokic left the door open for other teams. This was expected because next year he could sign for a 4th year up to maybe as much as close to $80 million more. Now, if you're a team like the Clippers, who have cleared cap space to maintain flexibility, you will have this hope, perhaps, that maybe, look, something unforeseen could happen. Maybe Nikola Jokic won't be happy with how things end up in Denver. But we look at the moves they've done in the last few months. They changed coaches. From Michael Malone to Adelman. Adelman gave Jokic more of a voice in those huddles. You saw him being active there. They changed GMs. They went and swapped Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson. They went and got Tim Hardaway Jr. They brought back Bruce Brown, a guy they loved in the locker room, helped them win the title. All of these moves, and Valanciunas, who they still is trending in the right direction. They believe, they're holding him to play next season to be his backup. These are all moves they're doing to make Jokic happy. And by all indications, the Denver Nuggets are not concerned about this at all, that they expected him to wait until next summer.
All right, so Jokic could be a free agent as early as 2027. And Ramona, Ohm mentioned the Clippers, but there are a number of teams that are trying to look at space for 2027. How do you see this kind of all shaking out with some of these teams?
I mean, I see the Clippers, and they've got spot for 2 max players in a couple of years. The Lakers are hoarding cap space. Like, in this era, we all just got done covering free agency, and free agency is mostly done by the time we get to July 1st because you can negotiate with your own player if they haven't signed an extension yet, or if you the day after the finals end, right? And I don't know what they're holding this cap space for. Like, I like the idea. If this was 2015, I like the idea of
even 16.
That cap space could actually lead to landing another superstar.
You know what it is, Ramona? I talked to someone today who said it's no longer about free agency anymore and waiting for a free agent to become available and you keep that cap space. Players sign the extensions, get paid, get their money, and then if they want to move, they force a trade. And I think that's where
having the space to absorb the contract, only
but also
out
having manageable contracts that you can trade. Several role players that might be attractive on decent, and then you add in the picks. And if you don't have the assets and picks, you find 5 teams to come in the deal to work something out.
Because wait.
NBA record 17.
Right. Because here's the thing. Like, I know a lot of people certainly were stunned by the way the Doncic trade went down because of the lack of assets and traded from a draft capital perspective. But the Mavs still got Anthony Davis. Like, you still need
Right.
one of those kinds of guys, an all-star caliber player,
Yeah.
to fetch yourself potentially a Jokic or whoever could be available, another star
and
player.
I suppose you can use your cap space to acquire those type of assets that you would use in a trade like that. But you see that list and we all go, oh, wow, they could all be free. They're not really going to get to free agents.
No.
They're probably going to do extensions. And that's one of the things in this new CBA. And we saw this last year with De'Aaron Fox, where we kind of expected him to sign that. When he didn't do it, it left the Kings in a position where you got your answer a little too early. Like, maybe you don't want to know if he's gonna extend with you early, because then you have to trade him if he's not gonna extend with you. And we're gonna see that in a couple of weeks when Luka Doncic has this question for the Lakers in the start of August.
Right.
He can do that extension. If he doesn't do that, now you have your answer.
Right. All bets are off.
All bets are off.
Yeah. And by the way, Giannis could also be a free agent
That's right.
in 2027 as well.
Oh, yes. You know what? When I think about Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, I like the moves they made. I do think that the same way that we talked about the Lakers running into the Nuggets ran into the best defense in the NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and that changed the outlook of how successful their season was. So now if they're able to avoid a team like that, a buzzsaw, then maybe you'll look and say, like, okay, we are still championship caliber and competitive, because right now, that man is the toughest guard in basketball.
No doubt.
Positionless, when you think about it. So that's where I'm at. Like, as long as he's happy, the pieces are around for them to get better and to compete. And as long as you avoid maybe some of the stiffest competition in the West, then they're in pretty good position.
Well, and he's become more vocal in the huddles
Yeah.
we've all seen.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, this is reckless speculation, maybe he's become more vocal behind the scenes too.
Yeah, well, and look, and to Ramona's point, if you are a conspiracy theorist or somebody who has wishful thinking, if Luka Doncic does not sign an extension,
Right.
who is Luka Doncic very close to?
Oh, Jokic. Yeah.
Nikola Jokic.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Reckless speculation. That's what we do here in the summer. Portis, Bobby, thank you for joining us, man. First off, congrats on the new deal. You just re-signed with the Bucks this offseason on a 3-year deal. What made you want to continue your journey in Milwaukee?
Man, first off, man, appreciate y'all for having me on the show, man. Y'all haven't invited me in so long, man. I didn't think y'all like me, I didn't think y'all like me no more. Then I can't
We
come
love
on.
you, Bobby.
I
We
can't
love
come
you,
on
man.
the show.
We love you.
Anytime.
You guys for a few minutes, man. no, I'm just playing, man. But man, just the atmosphere, man, just the culture, man. Just being in Milwaukee kind of helped shape and make my career, man. Starting off my career kind of rocky. Going to 3 stops, played with the Bulls for 4 years, played with, it's the Wizards for like 2 months. Nobody really talks about that stint. Played with the Knicks for half a season, and then finally finding a home in Milwaukee where it's comfortable playing basketball. Obviously, it's a winning culture, winning team. We're always in the playoffs, always have a chance to win a championship. Playing with great players, have a chance to, build a legacy there. All those things kind of just hit home for me, man. And not wanting to move all my things as well, man. Got to think about all the places I can go. Do I really want to be 30 years old, moving all my stuff across the country? Nah, probably not, man. So I kind of just stay put where I'm at, man.
I love it, for sure. I get it. No doubt. Moving stinks, I'll tell you that. All right,
Yeah.
Listen, your Bucks went undefeated in Cup play last year. You heard us do the reveal a moment ago. Let's take a look at the East Group C, where you guys will be. All right, so it's you guys, the Knicks, the Bulls, the Heat, and the Hornets. What are your initial thoughts?
I like it, man. I love the whole NBA Cup thing only because, man, it's the when guys score at the end of the game, guys get mad.
Yeah.
Remember that little thing they had a thing? Now it's about point spread. It's like I played in USA ball in 2023, and Coach Curry was just talking about winning by as many points. Don't get comfortable. Winning by as many points takes you to like a European type style, right? Winning by it's a total amount of points matter. And all those things. So it keeps you locked in. It keeps you, gives you a early incentive throughout the season. So I love it. I love our group. It's going to be tough, obviously, in these type of settings. Any team can make it. So every team feels like they have a chance to win. So that's what makes the Cup so good, and it's fun to play in, man. And it's fun winning $500K. I can't sit here and act like that it's not fun just seeing $500K just show up too. So I gotta throw that out there.
Yeah, no doubt. That bag it matters. There's no doubt, especially for those young guys who don't make a lot of money, for sure. So, all right. Well, listen, you guys made a big splash, speaking of money, in free agency, signing longtime Indiana Pacers big man Miles Turner. Look, there was a little bit of a rivalry brewing between the Bucks and Pacers these
It's
past
still a rivalry, man. It's still a rivalry.
Okay,
It's not going nowhere. It's not going nowhere.
Okay.
That's part of the reason why I want to play with the Bucks still, man. I want to still play against those guys, man. I like playing against the Pacers, man. That's not no secret, man.
Fair enough.
We don't like them, they don't like us. Ain't no secret.
Okay, I love it. I love it's still a rivalry.
Love it.
But how does
Ain't no
Miles
secret.
fit in now, considering now he switched sides?
I mean, sure, I talked to him the other day, man, on the phone. I finally broke down and called him. I called him twice, and he ain't pick up. He ain't pick up, right? So I texted him. I sent him a little text message. I'm like, hey, man, I was just BP, man, just checking in, seeing how everything's going. He called me. You know what I'm saying? He called me, and I'm like, hey, bro, like NBA is kind of crazy how this whole thing kind of shapes and, you know, turns around. Me and Miles are actually in the same draft, too, 2015. So shout out to my 2015 class, too. Got to give us some love, man. We still got about 15, 16 guys bumping in the league, man.
All right, no doubt about that. Shout out to the class of 2015. You also played with Dame Lillard the past 2 seasons, who was recently bought out, obviously dealing with a tough injury. What did he bring to the Bucks in your time there, and how do you guys look to try to replace him in any way you can?
Man, Damian Lillard, man, I can't say, you know what I'm saying, too much about him, man. He's just, you know, just one of the realest teammates I ever had. Just being around him just made me better. You know, he's a, you know, selfless guy, gives himself up for the betterment of the team, leader. You know, he's just play through all the things he played through this year. You know, the calf injury, had blood clots, come back and play. He even sent us a text message, you know, before the playoffs, you know, while the playoffs were starting. And we had lost the first 2 games. And then after the 3rd game, he said he's going to give it a go. He's going to just telling us first and foremost in the day, he's going to put his body on the line for us out there. So, you know, I can't say too much about him, man. That's one of my favorite teammates I ever had. My 2 favorite point guards in the league I ever had was Ray John Rondo and now Damian Lillard. So he definitely my guy, man. I always try to get cool with my point guard because I like the ball too. So you know that.
Yeah.
You know that.
You know how to do it.
Yeah.
You know how it works. All right, now let me ask you about you and Giannis. The last 2 players left from that 21 title team. Giannis has said he wants to win another championship in Milwaukee. Why does that partnership with you and Giannis work so well?
Man, I just think it's just around 34, man. You got to have, you know, spacers, right? You got to have guys that can space the floor. You got to have guys that can open up driving lanes for him. When you play with him, man, like, you know, you might watch on TV, just watch the things that he does, but we kind of give ourselves up to let him be, you know, who he is, man. Sprinting to the corner, getting deep corner, let him get his drives and things, whatever it is. But it's fun playing with him. And then, man, just his selflessness that he does, man, giving himself up for the team, putting his body on line each and every day. You know, you got to have bigs that can space the floor, that can, you know, knock down the wall, knock down the Giannis wall. It's a real thing. So it's been fun playing with him over these past 5 seasons. Can't believe, you know, it's been 5 years already. Time really flies, man, but it's been fun, man. Hope we can keep it going, man. Hopefully get back to the top.
All right, real quick before you go, we only have a couple seconds here. I know you love Hubie Brown, our recently retired colleague, 91 years young. I know you always shout him out when you're mic'd up. Give him one more shout out here.
What's up, Hubie? How you doing, man? That's for you, Hubie. Hey, my first 3 I hit this year, man. I'm going to give you a mean shout out. Hopefully I got me mic'd up for that one, too, so y'all can catch it.
All right, sounds good. Bobby, thank you so much. Congrats again on the contract, and we'll talk to you during the season.
Appreciate y'all.
Wanna try to bust at what I look like. Keep them down, try to wear, I pull up long range. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA, it's